Dale Hausner grew up on the streets of Phoenix, Arizona, the youngest of 5 brothers. Despite his family's financial hardships, Dale had big dreams of being a boxing promoter.
Welcome to the Best of Boxing, everybody. I'm your host, Dale Hausner.
But after a life of dramatic ups and downs, the streets of Phoenix became his hunting ground.
As the sun goes down, concern rises, and cops hit the streets, hoping to stop the serial shooter before he takes aim and fires again.
In a 15-month shooting spree, Dale Hausner terrorized the city. Among those stunned by Dale's arrest was the brother who thought he knew him best.
I was second to the youngest, so I did look out for him. Growing up, I never would have suspected there was that much wrong. I mean, he had his moments where he was hard to be around. I helped him the best I could. I never really sensed any major danger. Growing up, we were very poor, but didn't quite know it. Dale, as a young child, was just kind of a silly, slap-happy kid. We got along relatively good, although he did like his alone time. I always joke, genetically in one way, we inherited the weak, puny gene, but as we got older, we learned to exercise more, at least get stronger for what we had.
For the Hausner brothers, a favorite exercise is boxing. But the sport also offers a glimpse into Dale's dark side.
We had a punching bag. Dale would talk to the punching bag and he would say, "I don't want any problems," and he'd throw a punch at it. And then he'd stop and he'd say, "Really, I don't want any problems." And he'd practice this quick, sharp punch movement out of the blue. He came home one day and he was like really fired up. And I said, "Well, what's going on?" He says, "Well, this kid's been picking on me every day, so I finally took care of it. I did what I did to the punching bag." I said, "Well, I'm proud of you for defending yourself." And he looked at me and he said, "Well, but there's something more." When my hand hit his face and I saw the blood, it felt good.
It's a glimpse into Dale's secret life, a life that Randy would only learn about much later when he discovers Dale's private journal.
Here's a part where he says, "I started stealing and starting fires when I was 9. My one passion was destroying things. I loved it, breaking windows, slashing tires, spraying bleach on people's clothes while they hung to dry."
Is this the brother you knew?
No. It makes you wonder, did he just choose evil? Is something wrong with his brain? A lot of things go through your mind.
In May of 2005, Dale starts a new nocturnal activity. He joyrides through the quiet streets of Phoenix with a gun.
Nobody reported a shot being fired in the area. When he was found in the street by passersby on a car, they thought he'd been the victim of a motor vehicle accident. And again, it wasn't until paramedics arrived here, found the gunshot wound in the middle of his back.
Tony Mendez was shot in the back while he's riding his bicycle.
He was actually going to take candles to a family that had no electricity. He used to ride this bike everywhere. That's when he was taken.
No leads, no suspects, no known reason. This, a quiet residential neighborhood where a guy on a bicycle was shot and killed, was the start of this whole case.
I was 17 years old. I never thought I would lose my dad. I remember one time I was little, we were watching a movie and somebody died, and I said, "Dad, when you're gonna die?" And he said, "Never." Just, I don't know, that's very tough. I'm sorry.
When I meet Justin, I would like to let him know that I understand one thing, and that is that when somebody is killed, it affects the sons, the daughters, the family of everyone that's involved.
Phoenix police have arrested the man they believe is the city's serial shooter, responsible for multiple deaths.
When I first heard the news, the first thing me and my mom and everybody else thought is, it can't be true.
The trial is a painful reminder to the victims' loved ones of just how much they've lost.
So when your brother ultimately went to trial, did you go in his defense, or did you go just to hear what the testimonies were or the trial in general because you're curious?
To begin with, I went there out of curiosity. You know, there was a process of, I got to give him the benefit of the doubt, and it started to change, and more stuff started adding up, till eventually I knew that I was dealing with a madman.
Randy Hausner is in court with his parents when the verdict comes in. Dale Hausner receives the death penalty 6 times.
I actually felt good about it. When you do that kind of evil, the best thing that could happen is you be put out of your misery. For the sake of the victims and even for himself. I told him that to his face.
On June 19, 2013, Dale Hausner commits suicide by overdosing on medications he stored up in prison.
I gotta admit, at that time I shed no tears. I actually felt relief. I said, it's over.
Justice for me would have been for him to be in a cell for the rest of his life.
Dale never took responsibility for what he did. It never seemed like he showed to me regret for what he did.
For Randy, there's still unfinished business, expressing his family's sorrow to his brother's victims.
When you have all these questions like who did it and why, it holds you back from getting over it and healing and getting through it.
Justin Mendez is seeking answers for why his father was murdered by Dale Hausner.
He did a lot of pain to my family, especially my little brothers and sisters. It hit them the most because they barely got to know my dad.
Justin, me and my family in no way justify the behavior that my brother did, his evil acts towards your innocent father. It disgusts us, and our heart goes out to you, and we just want you to know that. You lost your father, and that's a heart-wrenching thing. How did you find the strength to deal with that?
My father wouldn't want me to, fall off track because of him being gone. He'd want me to be a better man. So I did my best to, try to make him proud because I know somewhere he's looking down on me. My dad, he was a very, very good person, and he loved his family. That same with my little sister. He always had her in his arms.
So Justin is also a dad now.
Yeah, that also helped me get through losing my dad. Was my kids. So those are his grandkids.
Oh, what a little doll.
That's something I think about every day, that they're never gonna meet their grandpa, but your brothers didn't just take my dad away. He took a brother, a son, grandpa. Mm-hmm.
Something that I wanted to tell you about was one time I went to visit Dale on death row.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess they were talking about, that prisoner over there, he killed a child and that's worse. And I said, yeah, that's horrible. But when you kill an adult, if they have a child, you are harming that child.
Yeah, and it's not like you ever get over something like this. There's days you let go and you break down, or there's days like I compare all the time. Oh, look at that kid with his dad, or look at that guy with his daughter and his dad. My family, they just want to know why like somebody would take somebody as good as my dad.
I wish I could have given you more justice. You deserve better than what I've brought to the table today, to be honest. You deserve answers, and I can't give them. If the situation is reversed, I could only hope I would be half the man you are and be able to come and talk and be at peace with it. So I really appreciate meeting you.
I'm sorry. You're very, very, very not what I expected. Like you sound like you have a good heart yourself, and I'm just kind of like shocked by that, because seeing someone like Dale, you figure he comes from something that's similar, but I mean, you seem a lot different. I think it's very brave of you and big of you to come out here and do this, knowing, you're practically taking ownership of what your brother did when it's not your fault, but hearing from you as his brother, sorry, and I think this whole experience was a good experience. It takes a really big person to step forward for what his brother did, even though it's not his fault. but it's still nice to know that his family is sorry and, you know, they are wishing the best for us and just wanting to make the world a better place. And I know one person in a big world is not much, but it's at least something, you know, it's at least something.